Transform your reactive dog's behavior with these 10 proven steps. Struggling with a reactive dog? Transform their behavior with these 10 proven steps that will bring out the calm and confident pup you've always wanted. What to do? Number 1. Understand the root cause. Understanding why your dog is behaving the way they are is crucial to help them through it. Getting to the root cause involves keenly observing your dog and their reactions to their triggers. Observe your dog's behavior around their triggers and find out what distressed them during such times. Doing so is the first step towards planning and preparing a behavior modification program to address the issue at hand. Number 2. Why aversive techniques don't work even if you think they do. Handling a reactive dog on walks is hard. It may lead to feelings of helplessness and frustration in the handler. Aversive tools and techniques have gained popularity because they provide quick results due to the pain and fear they instill in dogs. However, aversive techniques without desensitizing the dog and teaching them an alternate behavior may fail to address the root cause of the issue. A reactive dog with zero outlet to release pent-up frustration will end up thoroughly confused and utterly helpless, which may further lead to aggression and shutdown. Number 3. Focus on building strong impulse control. An impulse reaction is typically a spontaneous or immediate response to a stimulus or situation without much forethought or deliberation. In dogs, it is characterized by quick reflexive actions such as lunging, jumping, barking, chasing, etc. Building impulse control in dogs involves teaching them to control this impulse and achieve a better sense of self-discipline and patience. Some of the most common cues taught as a part of impulse control include stay or wait, leave it, drop it, settle, heel, look training. A reactive dog for better impulse control is one of the best ways to help them make better decisions when faced with a stressful trigger. Always start training your dog in low distractions first and gradually raise the bar as you go. Number 4. Redirecting the right way. Redirection involves diverting your dog's attention from their triggers to a more desirable target or an activity. When a reactive dog encounters their trigger, they typically go into a frenzy of impulsive reactions such as barking, lunging, attacking, etc. These emotional responses in dogs often heighten as their trigger approaches them on walks. This gives the handler very little time to act in terms of training and desensitizing, often leaving room only for redirection. Redirecting a reactive dog usually involves multiple steps. The first one being creating a good amount of distance from the trigger by taking several steps back or crossing the road. You know you have created ample distance when you reach a point where the dog is able to see the trigger, but also look away from it. The next step involves engaging the dog in something more desirable, like sniffing the ground or performing a cue such as look, sit, stay, etc. Number 5. Let your dog acknowledge their triggers. Redirection is an important step in calming a reactive dog down. When working consistently with a reactive dog, over time it often happens that pet parents get into training and correction mode without letting the dog see or acknowledge their stressors. This may be counterproductive to training because while working with reactive dogs, it is crucial to desensitize them towards their triggers, while teaching them a desirable response in place of their existing emotional response. This may not be possible without letting your reactive dog acknowledge their triggers. Now, letting them acknowledge their triggers does not mean forcing them to interact. It only means letting them see or experience their stressors from a distance, after which you must continue to deploy the training techniques that work best for both of you. Number 6. Work within your dog's threshold. In the context of dog behavior, threshold refers to a point up to which the dog is able to acknowledge their stressors and not react adversely towards them. In other words, if you have a dog-reactive dog, and you have to take around 25 steps away from the dog for your dog to stop barking, lunging, and reacting towards that dog. That is essentially your dog's threshold. When managing your reactive dog, it is crucial to work within your dog's threshold. This helps in building trust between the handler and the dog, which is of utmost importance in behavior modification. Furthermore, working within your dog's threshold will yield faster results in training and bringing about desirable emotional responses in your dog. Forcing them to move at a faster pace will only be counterproductive and lead to frustration for both the dog and the handler. Number 7. Building a training routine around your dog's triggers. Dogs thrive on a consistent routine. This is not just true in terms of puppy training and raising, but also in cases of behavior modification for reactive, anxious, or fearful dogs. Reactive dogs react the way they do because it comes naturally to them, and it has worked for them to keep threats at bay. When your reactive dog sees their triggers, they follow a process of emotional responses which include looking at the trigger, setting themselves on high alert mode, barking from a distance, preparing to change response to lunging or attacking as the trigger approaches, and lastly, attempting to calm themselves down as the trigger starts walking away through behaviors like air and grass sniffing and so on. This is the existing routine your dog is potentially following at the sight of their stressors. If you want them to behave differently, you have to not only teach them alternate behaviors, but also help them build a routine around it. Building a training routine for reactive dogs generally involves the following steps: letting the dog acknowledge their triggers, finding and maintaining the threshold distance, redirecting the dog, using cues to calm the dog down, rewarding the calm number 8. Engaging in the right kind of activities can transform your dog training, and modifying a reactive dog's behavior does not mean working with them only during the sight of their triggers. It means changing your and their lifestyle in general to accommodate their mental and physical needs better. A reactive dog is programmed to react more and think less. Most reactive behaviors stem from poor impulse control and decision-making. Engaging a reactive dog in activities and games that require them to use their sensory organs and solve problems will help change their emotional responses over time during a crisis. Invest in a variety of mental stimulation toys and puzzles, and make sure to engage them multiple times throughout the day in activities that challenge their prefrontal cortex. Doing so will help you raise your dog to be calmer and more spatially aware. Number 9. Managing, not fixing the behavior. When dealing with your reactive dog, it is important to remember that they are not giving you a problem. They are having a problem. Looking for quick fixes to train your reactive dog will never give you sustainable results. Sure, they may manipulate you into thinking that it's working, but the dog's physiology is far more complex than that. What may look like reactivity being fixed may actually be the behavior taking a different form altogether. Work with your dog to manage reactivity and try to reach a middle ground with them. Desensitize them gradually towards their stressors and avoid places and situations that are likely to bring out the worst in your dog. Number 10. Tracking progress. Training a reactive dog is not a sprint, but a marathon. If you are able to improve your dog's threshold even by a couple of meters over a span of a few weeks, you can not only call it progress but also celebrate it with your dog. Your dog is trying its best with the limited information it has access to. Go slow, be patient, show up for your dog consistently, never force them, and make sure to reward the small wins. You got this. Moving on. What not to do here are 3 mistakes to avoid at all costs when figuring out how to train a reactive dog. Number 1. Forcing them into an uncomfortable situation. While it's true that your dog needs to be exposed to their triggers to desensitize them, it needs to be done in a gradual and controlled manner. Dragging them into uncomfortable situations and forcing a reaction out of them is a classic way to skyrocket the dog's reactivity. This is because such situations will only make them feel trapped and helpless, which will in turn trigger a fight response instead of a flight response in them. Number 2. Punishing them. A reactive dog's reaction toward their triggers is something that comes naturally to them. Punishing them for it will only make them more clueless and add to existing frustration. Punishing a reactive dog can have a cascading effect on the dog's psyche. It may lead to negative associations with the trigger, increased stress and confusion, and lack of understanding and learning, which may eventually lead to a risk of increased aggression. Number 3. Letting them interact with their triggers in a riled-up state of mind. On walks, it often happens that your dog may see another dog and start acting up only to get to that dog. In the process of reacting at the sight of the trigger, the dog gets riled up. An interaction between 2 dogs in a riled-up state of mind may escalate into a fight quickly. Regardless of how friendly a reactive dog may be, always wait for them to calm down before letting them interact with other animals or people, especially when they're on a leash.